Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here this morning. I know it's a little early for you guys. It's the last day. That's all we're asking. So, again, I'm the State Bridge maintenance engineer for Georgia, and I hope so far you guys are enjoying the conference. No hiccups. I heard there were incidents where people were getting checked in 9:30 p.m. I mean, we tried everything we can, but I still wanted to say sorry for that. And let me start with the first presentation this morning. And this is the first presentation title is Where Did NACE and SSPC Go? Those of you who don't know what NACC is, it stands for National Association of Corrosion Engineers. And the SSPC, Society of Protective Coating, I don't even know what it stands before that. So I would like to welcome Mr. Tony Serdenes. He is the Corrosion Protection Pursuit Leader for GPI and also AMPP Specialist. And those of you who don't know what AMPP stands for, it's Association for Material Protection and Performance. Please, Tony, welcome.
Thanks, Robbie. And since you did such a great job talking about the acronyms and all that stuff, give them a round of applause now. Anyway, there you go. Again, my name's Tony Serdenes. I'm with GPI, and I'm here to talk to you about the new organization. I'm also the chair of the AMP Transportation Technical Committee as well. And just a plug for that, we're always looking for DOTs and other people that are involved in the coatings industry to join that technical community as well, because again, as I said yesterday about the working group for coatings, the more owners, the more people we have on those committees, the better the product is and the better the service is for our industry, and our industry, of course, is the bridge industry. So I'm always going to plug that for both the bridge preservation and for AMP as well. Again, for those of you, how many people have dealt with NACE or SSPC over the years with specifications? And so there are a few here that know that. Great. Well, NACE was established in 1943, headquartered in Houston. Again, technical training, certification programs they gave. They had their national conferences, developing industry standards, reports, publications, technical journals, and government relations, right? They were a world global organization. SSPC, who's headquartered in Pittsburgh, or was headquartered in Pittsburgh, right? Started in 1950, same type of thing. They developed technical training, they had their national conference, developed industry standards. Both organizations over the years combined and partnered with developing co-industry standards, again, with surface preparation, coating selection, coating application. They dealt a little more with the environmental part of the industry, focusing a little bit more on the bridge community, and then, of course, health and safety as well with the OSHA regulations for lead. So back in 2020, they were starting to talk about, 2019, they started talking about merging. They competed, they're both nonprofit, though NACE had a for-profit entity as well, but they competed against each other, developing standards, developing training courses, and those type of things. And they started talking about, let's become one global, organization. And from my perspective, I thought it was a great idea, and to have one organization to serve the industry. And when I say industry, not just the bridge industry, though that's important for all of us here, right? But the coatings industry, from oil platforms to pipelines to, again, the bridge industry, anything that dealt with coatings, both steel and concrete. So they went through all these town meetings. They talked to people literally around the globe about this merger of the two. So they worked everything out, and again, I think it's worked out well. They're still going through their growth because it just started, as you see here, On January 1st of 2021, they officially became AMP. As you can see on this slide, they have many offices, again, throughout the world. I don't know if I'll say this correctly, but I said it last time in Albuquerque. Their headquarters are still Houston and Pittsburgh, though they have offices, again, a couple of them around the world, with respects to other community offices and career development centers. This slide that you're looking at here was as of September 2022. You can see there are almost 900 corporate members, 77,000 individuals that have certification, and many of those are the certifications that we use in our industry, which is your Certified Inspector Program for levels 1, 2, and 3. So it is amazing how they've grown. I mean, when I took the CIP course for NACE, my number is 3,900, and I thought that was high back then. Now we're in the 7,000s. And of course, as you can see here, almost 33,000 members, probably more than that now. A lot of technical committees, a lot of standard committees, many education courses have been held, and online and both in person. So the benefits of the merger. To me, the number one is the unified voice. You as owners, as designers who develop specifications, who hire inspectors, you have one place now to go to and deal with the information and things you need. The DOT market, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? We can go now to AMP and look for standards, look for guides that we want to put into our specifications to give that contractor a better understanding of what we are looking for. Standardization of those guides and standards. They have international growth here. Simplification. It is more simplified now that there's this one organization and the integration of all the different things that both of these organizations have done and have developed. Just to give you an overall view, again, of the educational programs that we may be interested here in. First one is cathodic protection. That's become a large thing in our industry. So they have training for that. Again, coatings inspection, both levels 1, 2, and 3. And they specialize in marine, bridge, as you can see here, metallizing. Metallizing is starting to become a big thing in our industry. Nuclear, fireproofing, and pipelines, right? Coating application craft workers, their certification for blasters, applicators. And again, that's something you as an owner can put into your specifications. Concrete coating application inspection. So now, a lot more concrete's been painted and surface preparation, so they have a specific certification program for inspectors for concrete inspection. General corrosion, and again, Marine Navy, and they even have their own developed ethics course. So again, other courses, they have their basic corrosion, fundamentals, math, management, again, corrosion under installation, and what I've highlighted here, again, for what we do in the bridge industry, when you're looking to hire either third party or train your own in-house staff, they have the certified inspection program for your basic, certified, and senior certified inspectors. And of course, you have your corrosion advanced basic courses and other things. Again, more of the courses here. One of the things I recommend as an owner or somebody new that's coming in, that's working for your Department of Transportation, for those young people that are coming in, is might not be a bad idea to send them to the fundamentals of protective coatings, or what they call C1. It's a great foundation for an engineer to have. It gives you a broad overview of protective coatings, from surface preparation, application to design. It's a very good course for beginners in this industry. And again, Bridge Coating Inspector course, which is called BCI. That is a good course. That's specific training for inspectors and the nomenclature of the structure it teaches as well, besides your typical inspection, for surface preparation application. And then also, they still provide the lead courses, C3, and the refresher course for lead C5. And again, that course teaches the individual about containment, monitoring, collection, storage, and disposal of that hazardous waste. It's a 4.5-day course, and it's a great course, again, for our industry, because most of the bridges that we deal with, right, have lead paint on them still. So it's an excellent course to take, and something that you as an owner, again, if you're looking at hiring third parties or in-house even, you want to look at for those, firms to have that type of individual. And again, thermal spray application, again, for metallizing, they have that they're providing, basics of steel surface preparation, floor component, a lot of very cool things, again, for the DOT world to have a good understanding of what's going on in the industry. Now that they've organized, right, and they've come together, the existing standards that were developed over the years before the merger are still going to have the NACE or SSPC nomenclature. They are not going to change. So again, like what we do, right, SSPC PA2 for dry film thickness readings. It's still going to be called SSPC PA2. Now you might see a little AMP logo on it, but but that is what it's going to be called. Just like your SP10 for a near white blast, right? You can still, you'll still see it as an SP10 near white blast. So for us in the DOT industry, we don't have to go back, and you as owners, you don't have to go back and rewrite your specifications. They're still going to stay the way they are. Just like the CIP inspector program, it's still going to be CIP. Now the name changed a little bit, but AMP has done a great thing where an individual or an agency can print out the certificate that still says NACE CIP Level 1, NACE CIP Level 2, but you can also get it in the AMP certification as well. But so whatever was developed is still the same. Anything as of January 1st of 2021 going forward that is developed will have the AMP logo, and just like it says there. So as the Bridge Preservation organization has their various committees, right? Just like any other organization has their various committees, so does AMP. And they have 25 standard committees, and these standard committees are the committees that actually develop the standards that we all work with. As you can see here, it talks about surface preparation, SCO5. So that's where those surface preparation standards are going to be developed. Coding, application, maintenance, and inspection. So what would you find there? Maintenance ideas, right? Inspection, application of systems. Again, if you're dealing with paint for your DOT, it's a very, very good resource. And I know I've impressed upon that a few times, but it's true. Just like what we do here at the Bridge Preservation conferences, it's good to be part of, because we're always learning new things, new technologies that are out there. They also have technical program committees, and as I stated, I am the chair of the Technical Committee for Transportation, and under my committee, I have bridge, I have rail, I have marine, concrete, contractors, and regulatory. And again, shameless plug, it's a great committee to join. There's a bridge community underneath of it. Todd Bennett of Missouri DOT is actually the manager of that bridge committee. So we're always looking for new DOTs to join that committee, because it's what these, we were having breakfast this morning, and an individual was talking about Starbucks, right? What these committees are, that's all they are. They're just a place to talk. They're just a place to talk about your concerns, your thoughts, and it's a conduit for AMP. So you talk about issues, you talk about things that you wish were done, or standards you wish were developed, or training you wish there was out there. Well, this is the place to be. So we talk about it, right? We're sitting here, we're talking about these different things, and then we take that information and move it up the chain in AMP. And then if it's something that there's a gap in this industry, and again, our industry, which is the most important industry, the bridge industry, right? So if there's a gap, they can develop that standard. They can develop that guide. They can develop that educational material or do presentations on that and get things to us that will better what we do and maybe better our specifications and better the contractor is understanding, right? So these are just great places to be a part of, to get your thoughts and opinions and what maybe you've seen and say, man, I wish we could have done this, or I wish we could do this better. This is an opportunity to get your voice heard. It really is. Again, it's just a place to gather and talk. And these are all I call them subcommittees, but they're called technical communities of interest. And these are all the communities or subcommittees of all those 11 technical communities that I just had on the screen. And I've highlighted Bridge because, again, that's what we do, right? So, you know, it is a good thing. It's a good thing to be a part of, and it gives you a better understanding, again, of our industry. What does this mean for our industry, right? Like I just talked about. The standards are going to be the same. An SSPC SP10 near-way, which most states require for surface preparation, is still going to be called that. You don't have to change your specs. A PA2, as I discussed, not going to have to change that. It still stays the same. A hand tool, power tool cleaning, SP2, SP3, it's what it is. Again, you might have that little logo, right? But it's still going to be called that. Your guides that we use for Guide 6 for containment, Guide 7 for disposal of hazardous waste. If you have that in your specs, you don't have to rewrite it. The SSPC 12 for lighting, that doesn't have to change. And your visual standards that have been developed for this one, abrasive blasting, it's been developed for power tooling, chemical stripping, corrosion, they all stay the same. Certifications like your C3, your lead, your bridge coating inspector course, your certified inspector program courses, they all are going to stay the same. Other though, like I said, AMP has changed names, but you as an owner can keep it the way it is, and it's going to stay like that for ever and a day, right? So this is a slide. Many of these slides I've received from AMP to talk about. But this is a slide if you ever want to become a member. And again, I would say it's a good thing to become a member of AMP. You know, you engage and you network with your professional peers, connection through local chapters, access to an array of knowledgeable resources that are out there that we use every day in our specifications. You know, the other thing too that I didn't talk about here is the contractor certification. QP1, QP2, that's still going to be the way it is, and if you don't use it, it's a great thing to start adding to your specifications. There's even a QP qualified program for contractors for shop inspection, or a shop, which is your QP3. I would highly recommend starting to use that as well in your requirements for a shop for new steel. And again, leading industry for publications, and of course, being a member, you get discounts, right? So, upcoming events. We just had our annual, what I call the National Annual Conference and Expo in Denver just a couple weeks ago. There were close to 6,000 people from around the world that attended the conference with, again, the last number I heard coming out of the conference, 381 exhibitors were at the show. It was, to say the least, it was impressive, all the people that came, again, from all over the world to the conference. And upcoming conferences in May, again, there's a conference in Texas on heat, that's high heat paint products. They have their Eastern Conference coming up, and again, next year's conference will be in New Orleans. You know, it's a decent place to go to, right? You can have a little bit of fun there, you know, but mostly it's all business, of course. And let's see what's next. So this is my last slide here. I'll hold this up for a minute. If you have any questions, you go to amp.org. If you have any questions about or wanting to join a standards committee, there's the website for that. A technical committee, there's a website for that. And we have the honor to have amongst us here Laura Fikes, who's with AMP. Laura, if you could stand up just for a second. She is the Business Development Manager, and if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. You're more than welcome to bombard her and ask her any question you want, right? So at this point, that is the end of my presentation for AMP. Again, just as I talk about this organization, both organizations are an excellent source of resources, of networking and learning about what we all do, especially with what we do in the bridge industry. So if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, or Laura will be glad to answer them, if I can.
Yeah, the question I have is like hydrogen embrittlement. Is that part of AMP or not? Because more and more, you have bridges which have pre-stressed wires in them, and as you get corrosion in there, you release hydrogen, gets embedded into the steel and makes it embrittle. So that's kind of a corrosion, but a lot of people don't look at it. And I know California had a big issue with hydrogen embrittlements in their pre-stressed members.
Well, I'll tell you this, Paul Vinnick behind you is shaking his head up and down, will probably give you a better answer than I would.
Absolutely, and hydrogen embrittlement is not specific to the transportation industry. It's a big to-do in oil and gas as well, and with the move to hydrogen fuels, it will become much, much more important, and AMP certainly has people that are very knowledgeable in that area.
There were a few presentations in Denver, I think, on that subject as well. Any other questions? Of course.
I also want to do Tony put up Standards Committee 12, which is concrete infrastructure. And that committee is mostly based on concrete bridges. And it is where the concrete repairs, it's where cathodic protection for concrete, it's where all the research is done, all the criterion are set. It's a great resource, I think, for the state agencies that are facing concrete corrosion issues. So that might be something you're interested in.
Right, and what state is not dealing with concrete corrosion issues? So it's funny because we think about coatings and we think about steel, but corrosion.
Absolutely, it's both, and they're both important.
And I'll just add to that, Paul. Concrete abrasive blast, too, also falls under the Concrete Infrastructure Committee. So we've got several specs on different levels of concrete abrasive blast. So.
Well, thank you very much.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.